Hello and welcome to this live stream service. I'm Justin Epstein, author of the top-selling book, Super You, and minister of the Unity Center of New York City. We are happy that you are joining us this morning to be uplifted, to be inspired, and receive some practical tips and ideas that you can apply to your life. We're going to have a wonderful service today, and I'd like to also welcome our special guest musicians for this morning, Carla and Keyes, that's what they go by, and they're going to lead us in our opening song, which contains, by the way, a very powerful idea. And the song is, How Can I Serve Today? Please join us in singing wherever you are, at your home or wherever you might be today. Please feel free. Let's all join together. How can I serve today?
How can I serve today, sweet Spirit? How can I serve today, oh Lord? Speak in ways that I may understand. Where you lead me, I will follow. Where you lead me, I will go. Who needs acceptance today, sweet Spirit? Who needs acceptance today, oh Lord? Speak in ways that I may understand. Where you lead me, I will follow. Where you lead me, I will go. Who needs compassion today, sweet Spirit? Who needs compassion today, oh Lord? Speak in ways that I may understand. Where you lead me, I will follow. Where you lead me, I will go. Who needs my kindness today, sweet Spirit? Who needs my kindness today, oh Lord? Speak in ways that I may understand. Where you lead me, I will follow. Where you lead me, I will go. Who needs my love today, sweet Spirit? Who needs my love today, oh Lord? Speak in ways that I may understand. Where you lead me, I will follow. Where you lead me, I will go. How can I serve today, sweet Spirit? How can I serve today, oh Lord? Speak in ways that I may understand. Where you lead me, I will follow. Where you lead me, I will go. Where you lead me, I will go. Where you lead me, I will go.
Just have a few community highlights for you today. We would love for you to go to our Facebook page and like it. When you like the Facebook page, you will receive information about things that are going on, such as now I'm doing 3 live broadcasts on Facebook every week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 3 p.m. On Tuesdays, I share some ideas, usually based on a quote I've read somewhere or heard. Wednesday is a guided meditation. And then Thursday is again another inspirational, practical idea to share with you. So when you go to Facebook and you like us, then you will receive notification of these broadcasts, as well as on the website, as well as on Facebook, you see inspirational quotes. I share with you books that I'm reading. We share with you recipes that you might want to try. So all you have to do is go to Facebook and like us, and check out the website also, Unity Center nyc.com. And now let's enjoy Jim Keyes, who's going to play Morning Has Broken, a medley. We appreciate your support of the Unity Center of New York City's ministry, reaching you through live stream and through other things that we do during the week, that we post and so on. And we're trying to encourage you and others through these challenging times. And we want to uplift you and inspire you. And we appreciate your support of this ministry. If you believe in what we're doing and you'd like to donate, we appreciate that. We like to take a moment to bless these gifts, and you can see if you're on the website, there's a colorful donate button there. It's pretty bright. Or if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can follow the link. And again, we appreciate what you're doing to support us. You can actually open another browser so that you don't have to miss what's going on in order to donate and follow the links. So we'd like to bless these gifts, acknowledging that God, Spirit, is the source of all good. And that, as the way shower and teacher Jesus the Christ said, as you give, you receive. And so we like to think of what's happening spiritually as we give. As we give, we are putting ourselves in tune with that universal law of prosperity and abundance. That in our very giving, we're releasing more good into our life. that comes back to us, not only as prosperity and financial and physical support, but also as healing, as harmony and love and relationships, and in so many different places, so many different ways. So let's bless our gifts with that awareness. We take our gifts in our hands or our tithes, and we acknowledge divine love flowing through me blesses and increases all that I give and all that I receive. Together, divine love flowing through me blesses and increases all that I give and all that I receive. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. And so it is. Amen. And now we're going to, in a few minutes, we're going to have a guided meditation. And you may already be a meditator, and that's wonderful. Meditation, if you're not, is a form of deep thought or deep prayer. When Jesus said, when you pray, go into your inner chamber and shut the door, pray to your Heavenly Father who is in secret, we believe that's exactly what we're doing. We're going into that secret place within our beings. If you look at some of the great spiritual teachers throughout the ages, like Buddha, Krishna, Yogananda, others, as well as in really many different places, the Sufis, for instance, in the religion of Islam, there's a time to be still and quiet. So I invite you to join us in that today. And we like to prepare for it by singing an uplifting song that's kind of quiet and repetitive. There's a purpose for that. The purpose is to bring our attention from outer concerns, the outer world, and begin to focus our mind and begin to open our hearts. The yogis talk about devotion, stirring up your love for God. Remember, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And we do that. We love God with our strength, focusing the mind, going inside, and experiencing Spirit. So we're going to raise the veil between our sense of separation from this omnipresence and begin to feel and open up to the presence that's always within us and expressing as us, like the wave is expressing as the ocean. So let's now prepare for that time of prayer and meditation by singing Raising the Veil.
I'm raising the veil between me and my God. No separation, no distance at all. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. I'm raising the veil. I'm raising the veil between me and my God. No separation, no distance at all. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. I'm raising the veil. I'm raising the veil between me and my God. No separation, no
no distance at all. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. I'm raising the band.
And now I invite you to sit upright as is comfortable for your body, wherever you might be sitting. Perhaps you're in a chair or on a couch, wherever you are. I encourage you to sit upright so the energy can flow up. When we feel positive, our energy flows up. We say, I'm on top of the world, or things are looking up. When we're not, we say, I feel down, and our energy goes down. So let's sit upright now. And I invite you to take a nice, long, cleansing breath. Good. And now let us mentally relax the body. For when your body's relaxed, then your mind becomes calm. And then you begin to experience the image of God, of your spirit, of your true consciousness, of you, your higher being, radiating forth as you. So let's send the message to the feet, to the calves, to the thighs. Relax and let go. Relax and let go. Become aware of your hands and let your palms be open and relaxed. Become aware of your shoulders and your arms and send the message. Relax. Relax. Relax the muscles in your back, the upper, the lower, the middle. Relax your chest. Let your abdomen and stomach be relaxed. Your whole body relaxing, letting go, giving yourself an opportunity to rest and renew. Become aware of your neck, relaxing the front, the back, the sides of your neck. Just send the message. Relax and let go. Relax and let go. You might sense the muscle relaxing. Become aware of your face and relax all the muscles in your face. Letting go, letting go, letting go. Relaxing. Good. Now scanning your body from the top of your head to the bottoms of your feet. Notice, is there still some place, some muscle that needs to let go? Maybe it's a little tight. You might want to just gently tense and release, relax that part of your body. Good. You and I are spiritual beings having a human experience. This means that spirit, which is omnipresent, it's energy, consciousness, is being you, just like a wave is an expression of the ocean. You are an expression of source, of spirit, of the living energy out of which all things are made. Bible tells us, as well as other sacred scriptures, that God is love. It says, I have loved you with an everlasting love. No matter what mistakes you've made, no matter what challenges come and difficulties come, God loves you with an everlasting love. Nothing can separate you from this love. Only our thoughts, only our beliefs and emotions. But when we're quiet and still, we can sense and feel this inner well-being, this love that beats our heart, causes our breath to flow. This love that keeps the planets in perfect order in our solar system. This love is the glue that holds everything together. And you were created in the image and likeness of love. Even at those times where you don't feel loving, doesn't change the truth, the reality that you are an expression of God's love. You are loved and you are love. A great mystic said that if you could know God's love for you, you would die for joy. Wow. So I'd like to invite you for a moment to just know I am love. I am love. And when you think of I am, think of God in you, expressing as you. That's the great I am in you. I am love. And it's being you, your deepest, truest self. So I invite you to hold that idea in your mind now and just listen within. Wait within. Open to feeling something. Feeling the touch of spirit within you. Let's do that now. I am love. When your mind wanders, just bring it back to the affirmation, I am love. And just wait and listen. And we give thanks for this time of inner communion with Spirit, with Source. And whether you felt anything or not, you took time to be still and to be open And I believe that you are now in tune, and you can allow God and Spirit to flow through you in your daily living. Expect God to guide you. Expect health and healing. Expect love and harmony. And let's go forth and stay in tune as much as we can with this inner sense of well-being. And we thank you, Spirit. We thank you, God. Thank you, universe. And so it is. Amen. And now for a special solo with Carla and Keyes, and it's entitled, And So It Is.
And so it is. There is only one presence, only one power, God the good. And so it is. I am made in that image, made from the Spirit, the divine. And so it is. I'm the essence of God, inherently good, Spirit within me. And so it is. And so it is. I am co-creator through the thoughts held in mind. And so it is. Through prayer and meditation, affirmation, I align. And so it is. I'm the essence of God, inherently good, Spirit within me. And so it is. And so it is. I'm the essence of God, inherently good, Spirit within me. And so it is. Spirit within me. And so it is.
Thank you, Carla and Keyes. That was wonderful. We appreciate you. They were with us at Easter, and it's great to have them back. How are you at handling loss in these uncertain times? How are you doing with that? It's a lot of loss, isn't it? There's a real, the biggest ones perhaps, the loss of loved ones through death, friends, family. There is millions of people who have lost jobs. I hear about people who are afraid because of the unknown, and in a way they've lost their path. They were headed on a certain direction, and now it's all been uprooted and they don't know what's next. There's the loss of the social connection with friends and family. Not being able to go out to lunch with friends, or to embrace a loved one with a hug, or someone you meet with a handshake. Half of our face is hidden, wearing a mask. Recently, I talked to a nurse in a doctor's office. It was just she and I in there. And she, by the way, I'm doing really great. I feel like I'm fully recovered from COVID-19 now. Some of you know I struggled with it, but I appreciate your prayers, and I'm doing great. And this nurse shared with me, she said, it's, I never realized, I took for granted that going outside without a mask on, I took that for granted. And she was sad not being able to do that right now, and afraid that, when would we be able to do that again? There's all kinds of losses, right? Not being able to go to the gym, for those of you like myself who like to go to the gym, going to your favorite restaurant, going to the movie theater. I mean, you name it. I invite you, in fact, please comment below about what kind of loss you've experienced. What do you miss? What do you miss the most? That feels like a sense of loss for you. There's a lot of loss going on in the world. And today, I want to talk with you about and share some ideas that I think are going to inspire you and support you, and give you some practical ways that you can handle loss in these uncertain times. So stay with me, because some of these things I'm going to talk about, you may not feel like it, like, for instance, I'm going to talk to you about loss of job. And I'm going to talk about the loss of loved ones through death. And then I'm going to get into the rest of the losses, some of which I mentioned here today. So you might think, well, I haven't lost my job. But you might know someone who has. And it might be helpful to hear. You might want to share this message with them. Or you may come in contact with someone who's lost a loved one. And something may help you, instead of reading these things or hearing them or watching them on the internet and going, oh, that's terrible, and being depressed by this stuff and having it stir up fear in you. Some of these ideas will help you, even if you haven't lost a loved one or a job. They'll help you when you hear about them or read about them, and you might have something helpful to say to someone at the right time. So stay with me, okay? And then we're going to talk about how to handle the general losses. And I'm going to inspire you, hopefully, and give you some ideas, and also challenge you a bit, okay? I see that as my role, to do all of that. So let's, first of all, I'm reminded of when I was a freshman in college at James Madison University, and it was 1985, I think it was, a long time ago. And I was going through so many changes in my life. I was in my first romantic relationship, and it was very emotional and challenging, and it was wonderful also, but it was really tough on me personally, and probably on her too. And also, I was a freshman in college, and I was wondering, what's the point of all this? Climbing the ladder for money and a job and marriage and children and retire, grow old and die. It was depressing to me. And then some things went on in my life to where I started developing social anxiety. All this pulling together, I felt like I had lost myself. Who's Justin? I don't know who I am anymore. I felt lost. I lost security. I lost stability. And the wonderful thing is that through seeking and understanding spiritual things, I found my way back. Because I felt like the prodigal son, or in the song Amazing Grace, I once was lost and now I'm found. Or the prodigal son who took his father's inheritance, left, or asked for his father's inheritance, left, squandered it in riotous living, ended up in a pig pen, which is not a great place for a young Jewish man, not very kosher. And finally, he returned. He returned home. And that home was discovering his spiritual self. Spirit, God, Father, Mother was always at home inside of him. And he had wandered away from it. And that's what happened to me. And I'm happy to share with you that ultimately is what we want to do to help us deal with loss in all its various forms. So I want to first talk to you about losing a job. Millions of people are facing job loss right now. And if that's you, that's a really big challenge, of course. And it can affect our self-esteem. It can affect our moods. There are people who are in fear about it. How are they going to make a living? How are they going to pay their bills? Good question. And is there going to be enough aid? Is that going to do much good? How long is that going to last? Am I going to be able to get it for my small business? Or is it going to run out? All these things. And now what do if you're in work, but if you're not, if you've lost your job, then what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because as I was saying, so many small businesses and other businesses are struggling too. Well, I just want to share a couple of ideas with you that might be helpful. First of all, for all of us in loss, we've got to let ourselves feel the sadness and the grief. You can only heal what you feel. You got to feel it to heal it. There's a little saying for you. You got to feel it to heal it. So many people are afraid of feeling their emotions. Are you ever afraid of feeling your emotions? It took me a while to learn to feel comfortable feeling the uncomfortable. Odd, isn't it? Took a while to feel comfortable feeling the uncomfortable. We learn that anger, when you feel it, doesn't last. It's like emotions are like clouds in the sky, they pass. Same with sadness. We're afraid to feel sad because, I'll cry forever if I let myself feel that. We're afraid of fear. Another one, fear of fear. Because, what will happen to me if I let myself feel it? Well, it's unhealthy to stuff emotions. It's unhealthy to pretend that we don't have them. So let yourself feel what you're feeling. And if you're without a job and you feel fear, that can also motivate you. We want to get out of that fear as much as we can, but recognize also, sometimes you can use the fear to motivate you, to take action, to make plans, to do what's necessary, to make calls, to make connections with people, to find work so you can pay your bills, support your family, and fulfill what you're here to do. You're here for a reason and a purpose, and you want to fulfill that purpose. You want to make a difference with your life. And so, first of all, I would say, for all of us with loss, let yourself feel the sadness. It's normal, it's natural. And for those of you without facing job loss, I think it's really important, as much as possible, get yourself in the mindset that wherever there's a need, there's an answer. God is everywhere present, which means that in every situation, there's a solution, there's an answer. For every need, there's an answer. You have a need. a need for work, a need for income, then there's got to be an answer. And I would like to encourage you to get into that mode of thinking. You see, in truth, in spirituality, we believe that our consciousness impacts our experiences in life. So it's really important for you to get into that consciousness that instead of going around telling everybody, I don't have a job, I lost my job, I don't have a job, I lost my job, that tells your subconscious, tells the universe, I don't have a job. And then through the law of consciousness, then we create more of it. Oftentimes. Instead, get into the consciousness that there is an answer, there's a solution. You need a job, and there's one available. You need income, there's income available. Get into the mode of, I have a job, and my job is to find a job. Avoid talking about, in this economy, how could I ever find a job? In these situations, how can that ever happen? How can I find money? Get into the mode that there's a way. And God, whatever name you use for that presence, is showing me the way. And part of this is to, and I know you know this is a reminder, because when you've lost your job, there's fear, there's sadness, and please, try to also keep in mind that it's not entirely personal, because it's a pandemic. People have lost their jobs because of what's going on. But just like God created all of us, God will take care of us when we trust that presence and get in tune with it. So another important principle is to, instead of letting the fear get you into, I need a job, going to looking in places for work with that consciousness, make sure you go into the mode of, how can I serve? What do I have to give? What are my strengths? What do I have to give to whatever places you're looking at, whatever opportunities open up? I know right now, most everything's shut down, but they'll start to open up here before long. And go with the attitude of, and you can do your research now, of course, you probably already are. How can I make a difference for this company? What do I have to give? And asking Spirit to show you, God, where can I serve? I am your instrument, Lord. Show me how I can serve. Where can I serve? And the universe, with that consciousness, is going to open up places. And I would encourage you to approach this with humility. I mean, that is a humble attitude, right? And that means that, a job may come up, an opportunity may come up that you might go, oh no, that's beneath me. We don't say it that way, but no, I'm not going to do that. But you know what? That could be a stepping stone to something else. It's important to be involved, to get into a giving consciousness that can lead to other places. I know of a CEO who was laid off from a high-paying job, and he thought, let me get myself into a giving consciousness. So he started to help out his nephew who had started a new business. And it wasn't that long before he got an opportunity. Someone heard he was laid off. They called him and said, hey, how would you like to consult for us? And he ended up making more money than the original job he lost. So I want to encourage you. I know it's tough and difficult, especially in these times. You don't know perhaps what you're going to do. Trust Spirit. Be an instrument. Have a giving consciousness. Believe there's an answer and a solution. I'd like to talk now about people who've lost loved ones to COVID or in other ways. I know I've had a few people I know die as well. Again, let yourself feel whatever you're feeling. We've got to grieve. You got to feel it. That's your humanness. Remember Jesus, the shortest sentence in the Bible, you know what it is? Jesus wept. Jesus wept. You know, it's natural. It's part of grief. You lost a job, you might have cried, right? By the way, if you've lost a job, put down there below. Please post in comments, and we'll keep you in prayer. The same if you've lost a loved one from COVID or not even COVID. And we'll keep you in prayer for this. So post below so we can send you good energy, healing energy. So if you've lost a loved one, let yourself grieve. Pray to Spirit, pray to God to give you comfort. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. The great master psychologist Jesus told us. You will find healing. And I would encourage you, this is where I get challenging a little bit, to not think of your loved one as a victim. If they died, if they got COVID and passed away, that would have been really tough for me. Thinking about my mother, my father, my stepfather, who've all passed away now. Getting COVID and me not being able to be there to support them. That would have been really hard for me. I know, but I know that there's comfort for you. Pray to God to give you peace and to give you comfort. And it will happen. It'll come through people. It'll come through your own spirit from within you. But here's what I wanted to say. Don't think, and me too, I include myself, because I know a few people who probably it was COVID that took them out of this planet Earth. I believe that every soul is making choices. The soul, there's a wisdom in every soul that impacts the lessons they have in life, the time they come into the planet, and the time that they leave the planet. Perhaps consider that your loved one, even though it was COVID that impacted them, and it doesn't matter what age, the soul is ageless. I believe we're spiritual beings having human experience. The soul is eternal. The soul is ageless. It's in the image and likeness of God. So that soul hasn't died. It continues on. But that soul is eternal. And I believe it on some level, it chose when it was going to come out, and it chose when it was going to leave. And this was a way that it chose to go. That's one way to look at it. I remember when my stepfather, who I love dearly, some of you know I just loved him as much as I can imagine loving another person. And one day I got a call from my mother. I was in another state. She said, Henry's dying. And I was so sad to hear that. And I was visiting a friend in another state, and I made a plane emergency trip. She told me anyway, let me cut it short. He had pneumonia, and he had the ventilator and all that on him. And people kept telling me, pneumonia is an old man's friend. That's what they say. That way of leaving the planet is an old man's friend. And sometimes souls choose how they're going to go. And it wasn't his time, though. It wasn't his time. He came back out of that. But some of you, they didn't come back. And I want to encourage you that don't see them as victims. I was inspired by a story that I read by Leilani Jordan, who had cerebral palsy. And she was in her 20s, I think 27. And she was a grocery clerk. She died of COVID. And she had chosen to continue her work in the grocery store because she wanted to help others. She knew she was risking her life, but she wanted to help others. And she passed away, but I believe on some level, her soul knew what she was doing. It knew what she was doing. And she left with that sense of having made a difference with her life. And I believe that when the soul's time is ready, when they've learned the lessons that they can learn right now, then they continue on. They leave the planet. So let's see our loved ones and friends as spiritual beings. I don't know how people can live with the loss of a loved one and not believe anything happens, that they're just completely gone. I mean, I can understand that, but in fact, I found some comfort in two ideas. One is that my loved one, my stepfather, mother, father, they either don't know anything's going on, so they're completely at peace and they're out of pain, or they're eternal beings. And they're going on to continue to experience life and to learn and grow. And their biggest concern right now is your comfort, is how you're doing. Because they're okay. They're fine. They're spiritual beings. Spiritual sages have told us that when you leave your body, you just keep on, you continue in life. So that's been very healing for me. My mother died of bone cancer. My father had an emergency. Well, he went into the hospital for a simple procedure and ended up going into coma and leaving the planet. And it's always comforted me to realize that their soul has a choice and that they are eternal beings. So whatever we do, whether if we've lost a job, having an attitude of service, having an attitude that there's an answer, a solution, and if our loved ones have passed on from COVID, then let's not see them as victims. Let's see them as spiritual beings. Pray for comfort and peace and to bless them on their journey now, because they're okay. They're okay now. No matter what age they were, they're okay. Lastly, how to handle all the other losses. We talked about them in the beginning. All the other losses. Loss of being with loved ones and friends. Loss of other things, simple pleasures, familiarity. We used to like to go to that restaurant every week or go to that movie theater. I have a little stupid thing. The other day I went to the grocery store. Almost every day I have a chocolate cherry dessert. It's frozen cherries, it's unsweetened cocoa, and it's little unsweetened vanilla soy milk in a blender, and it's delicious. It's chocolate ice cream. If you like that kind of thing, go to a website, check out our recipes that we post every week. But I love it. I went to 2 grocery stores, all out, none. In fact, they replaced them with other stuff. I'm like, a little attachment I had to that. A little attachment. And you know what? That's what our sadness around loss is, really. This is where I get challenging again. By the way, what are you missing? What's one of those little things that you feel a sense of loss about? Maybe to you it's not little, it's big. Yeah. For me, those cherries were a source of fruit. Still silly, right? But we have all these little attachments. The Buddhists talk about attachments. They say attachments are what cause suffering. There's a lot of suffering in life because we believe, here's where I'm getting challenging, warning, we believe that we need certain things and people and situations to make us happy. Instead of recognizing that as a spiritual being, I am an expression of joy. I'm an expression of happiness. That my natural way of being is happiness. And I don't need life to be a certain way to make me happy. So, as the sage who's now passed on, Ram Dass, used to say, use the challenges of life to go to God. And I'm encouraging you, use whatever your sense of loss is to go to God, to wake up to your divinity, to your spiritual nature, which is joy, which is peace, which is love. We can't get together with family and friends. Heck, I haven't been with a dear friend in over a month. And can't do that? Let it help you to try to discover more of God's love within you. We ought to be able to be in the middle of the desert and feel God's love. Let it be a spur or encouragement. Spur doesn't sound very fun. Let it be something that triggers the desire to go to. Triggers, that's another horse analogy. You know, I loved horses when I was a kid. Spur, trigger. Trigger was a horse, Roy Rogers' horse, for some of you who are younger to not know that. Anyway, let it encourage you, inspire you to discover your divinity. Wah! I can't have my chocolate cherry ice cream. Eat an apple. Enjoy an apple. You know, what is it that you miss, that you're grieving over? Let it inspire you to find inner peace. Let it inspire you. Take more time in the silence. I communicated with someone, an email, who said to me, I was checking in, how you doing? And she said, I'm using this time to get still. I'm enjoying the silence. I'm enjoying time in prayer and meditation. So I would encourage you to find some gains in these losses. I came in touch with someone else who said, I'm using this time to develop healthy habits. Wow, good. And she's in her 70s. And she's developing new routines for herself. What are some routines you can develop for yourself? Maybe practice some meditation. Start to develop a habit, a couple minutes a day as a start. Maybe some exercise patterns for yourself. Some programs for yourself. Start some new habits. You know, in the news, they're like closing down pork factories. Maybe you want to start looking into some healthier ways of eating. Check out those recipes we got. And, you know, what are you doing in these times to make the best of it? I pulled out some exercise equipment that's been sitting in my closet. Never opened it. I thought, let me figure out how to use this darn thing. This morning I was looking at it and said, let me figure out how to use this thing. So find some gains in your losses. I read about mother and son who are now praying with each other every day. It's established a whole new connection. There are people who've met life partners, or at least people they want to get closer to and develop a relationship with online now. There's people developing new skills. One guy, he's now cooking instead of ordering out everything. Probably a good idea. Less calories, less junk put in the food. So, what do you miss? And what could you do for yourself during this time to see the silver lining, to find a gain in the sense of loss? And write down below what you're doing for yourself in this. I'm sure you're doing things that are good for you. Consider at least one other thing that you might do. Instead of focusing on what we've lost, focus on what you have left And as a friend of mine shared, he was visiting his mom at a nursing home. They were talking through the glass, and he shared a concern with her. And she said, she's from the mountains of Virginia. She said, well, you got to make the best with what you got. Do the best with what you got. So that's what I'm encouraging us to do. In fact, you might want to affirm for yourself or affirm with me, I accept what is and I make the best with what I've got. I accept what is and I make the best with what I've got. Go to God. Seek to develop a greater awareness of the joy of your nature, of the love of your nature, the peace of your nature, which will lessen the sense of loss, or it potentially can. And if it doesn't, that's okay. Just use it to grow spiritually and to appreciate those other things that we don't have now also. We'll really appreciate them more now, won't we? And also find some gains in your losses. And then lastly, help someone else. You know, I have absolutely really been moved in my hearing, first of all, how people are using their time. In Broadway. Broadway's been shut down now, as many of you know. I read about some of the costume designers they're designing costumes for Broadway. Well, what they're doing right now is they're designing masks for healthcare workers that don't irritate their ears. And they're creating hospital gowns for the workers. And they're using their van or truck that they normally carry costumes in to carry the robes and the masks to the hospitals. Wow. They're losing themselves in a sense of service. And that's a wonderful way to deal with loss, isn't it? Are you helping others in some way? I'm sure you are. We can do that through prayer and phone calls and other tangible things that can be done. I've been so moved here in my neighborhood in Manhattan, every night at 7 o'clock, all the cheering and clapping that people are doing outside their windows. You can see just hands outside their windows, clapping and cheering and banging on stuff for the healthcare workers. And as someone said, also the people in the grocery stores and other places that are risking themselves with the virus, helping people. And it has moved me so much. But you know what really moved me? It wasn't when I was just listening to it, but when I participate in it. It really moves me. It gives me that sense that we are all in this together. We're all on this planet together. And it feels good to extend appreciation to people. And I encourage all of us to do more of that and to extend a helping hand, make a difference for someone else. Carrie Chapman Cam, that's a name, by the way. It's like a tongue twister, isn't it? Cherry Chapman Cam. She had a prescription for dealing with loss and grief and sadness. And it was, go into your room, put on your hat and mask, go outside or do it from your home, and do something for someone else. Repeat 10 times. Now that sounds like a good way to effectively handle loss in uncertain times.
In times of darkness, in times of doubt, it's hard to find something to be hopeful about. When shadows follow all of the days, know that behind them a light is ablaze. Turn to the light wherever it shines. Turn to the light
Thank you so much, Carla and Jim Keyes, for that wonderful song, Turn to the Light. Let us all be reminded to do that regularly, daily. And I see you going forward now, centered in God's love, centered in joy and peace, letting yourself feel your humanness, witness it without falling into it, witness it, observe it, and let it heal you. Let it heal you. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Open up to that spirit within you. I see you doing that. I see you being healed. I see you being encouraged and strengthened. I see you being guided and directed. And I see you finding the inner peace that passes all understanding, that is independent of the world. The world is constantly changing, as the Buddhists tell us. It's constantly changing. The only place you can really find security is in the presence of God, in the presence of Spirit, right where you are. And so it is. Amen. Please join me in affirming the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Please join me now in singing, Let There Be Peace on Earth, and let it begin with me. Have a wonderful week, and thank you for joining us today for this live cast. See you next time.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment.